Well, good morning, everybody. This is such a privilege and a treat to be here. I appreciate it, and it's I work for an organization and we're a ministry, so it's nice to be able to wake up and go to work and serve the Lord. But it's great to come to a workplace here where you're able to do this in the morning. This is really awesome. I represent Lighthouse Network, a nonprofit organization, and some information. Jim, one of our staff, will pass around some brochures. There's our website there. It's information on the back of the brochure. We help people access Christian care for addiction and mental health issues. So we have a helpline that takes calls all over the country. We have an awesome devotional that comes out every day called Stepping Stones. It's free, a great resource, really impactful for a lot of people's lives. We'd like to be able to get your email addresses so we can send that to you. We have just a lot of neat stuff on our website that you can go and access and for free, and some workshops that we have there as well that I'll get into a little bit today. Well, I'm a psychiatrist, a Christian psychiatrist. So a lot of people think that's an oxymoron. Christian and psychiatry, often don't go together, but that's what I am. God's given me great opportunity to do some things being a Christian psychiatrist. When people come to me, they often come seeking the promised land. In the Bible, God talks about the promised land for the Israelites, the land of milk and honey, of great resource, of plentiful, of freedom and security. And it's a geographical place, but it's also a state of mind, a spiritual place as well. And so when people come to me, they're looking for that promised land living, that freedom, that comfort, that peace, that place where they can be who they are, who they are in Christ, and to be able to use their gifts in wonderful ways to partner with God in ministry. Now, whether they're in the desert time of their life and they're looking for the promised land, or whether they're in a place that's decent, but yet there's something missing, that's what I usually help them with. I help them in a little different way than most people that will seek help in a church or from a pastor, and that's what I want to share with you today, is some of a little different way I go about looking at how to help people get to their promised land. Now, people remember I Dream of Jeannie? Great show when I was a kid. Even before my hormones kicked in, just, wow, to have your wish be granted just in the blink of an eye. For those that are younger, maybe Aladdin's lamp. But what would you wish for? If you had your wish, what would you wish for? Just to think, what would I wish for? Because in the Bible, there's a place where there's a genie and there's a wish granted. And, God appears to Solomon, says, Solomon, your wish is my command. Whatever you wish for, I'll give to you. So in 1 Kings 3, Solomon has his chance to wish for anything. Now, if you remember anything from Solomon's background, David and Bathsheba had an affair. Solomon's a product of that affair. David had many wives, so Solomon had a lot of different stepmothers. David's king, he's out, conquests and battles and not around very much, so he's probably raised by maids and hand servants. There's a lot of stepbrothers, a lot of stepsisters. Stepbrothers are killing, or half-brothers killing half-brothers, half-brothers raping his sister, half-brothers trying to kill dad and overthrow the king. So there's a lot of dysfunction. Any soap opera that you can view today pales in comparison to the way, to the house that Solomon was raised in. So Solomon could have wished for my family to get along, brothers to like each other, not rape my sister, peace in the kingdom, all my family to be safe. I mean, he could have wished for a whole bunch of different things, but he wished for wisdom. He wanted to be a godly decision maker. Okay, to me that's a profound thing. As a kid, to hear that he wished for wisdom. I mean, you think of all the things that a kid could wish for, and certainly being wise or being a good decision maker isn't real high up on the list, but that's what he wished for, and that had a profound impact on me. The Bible talks a lot about decision making. People know about spiritual disciplines, right? Some spiritual disciplines like communion or baptism, prayer, fasting, Bible study, solitude. There's a whole bunch of different spiritual disciplines. I thought there was maybe like 8 or 9. I once saw a list of 63 spiritual disciplines. In all those lists, I never see decision-making as a spiritual discipline. But to me, decision-making is the keyest thing in our life. The most important skill or discipline we can grow in and acquire is decision-making. Because in order to do all those other things, in order to pray, to fast, to take communion, to study the Bible, all takes the decision to engage in that and the decision to continue in that. Well, the Bible talks a lot about decision making, talks a lot about our mind, our heart, how we think, our attitudes, our works, which is the product of our decisions. You know, people think Jesus talked the most about money. You know, a lot of his parables and his discussions about money is the most common topic, but really the most common topic is decision making. It's just that it's so common, you know, and we use it so often that we don't even think to start with decision making. We usually go to the next step. So all of his parables, all of his discussions, all of his teachings really are about how to be a godly decision maker. Paul, as he's writing to his churches that he planted, is telling them, you know, congratulating them on their decision making and continue to be good decision makers, or hey, look, you're straying from good decision making, whether from false teaching or complacency. You need to become good decision makers again. James is that New Testament, you know, Proverbs about, you know, your works, how to be good decision makers and produce good works. Obviously, Proverbs is about good decision making. I know growing up in school, I had lots of classes: science, math, history, art, drama, music. I mean, things I've never, ever used before. You know, Jim was sitting next to me, and while we're singing, he knows I'm not a good singer. You know, but I had classes in all those things. Never once had a class in decision making. You know, I don't know if your schooling was any different, probably not, but no real decision making courses that we have growing up. But it's the most important skill in spiritual discipline, and the Bible talks a lot about it. My favorite passage is Deuteronomy 30, and this is presumably written by Moses, and the Israelites had been wandering after they left Egypt, been wandering for 40 years with a lot of poor decision making. Finally, that generation that was real poor decision makers has died off. A better generation of decision makers is ready to embark into the promised land, across the River Jordan, and go to that land of milk and honey that's been promised to them for generation after generation. And so the writer writes to them, "The Lord your God will then make you successful in everything you do. He will give you many children and numerous livestock, and he will cause your fields to produce abundant harvests, for the Lord will again delight in being good to you as he was to your ancestors." And again, I don't think this is just about geographical promised land, but really that promised land of our spiritual and mental state. "The Lord your God will delight in you if you obey his voice," obedience, being good decision maker, "if you obey his voice and make good decisions to keep the commands and decrees written in the book of instruction, and if you turn to the Lord your God with all your heart and soul. This command I'm giving you today is not too difficult for you to understand. It's within your reach, and that's actually what we call our curriculum, within reach. It's within your reach. It's not kept in heaven, so distant that you must ask, who will go up to heaven and bring it down so we can hear it and obey? It's not beyond the sea so far away that you must ask, who will cross the sea to bring it to us so we can hear it and obey? No, the message is very close at hand. It is on your lips and in your heart so that you can obey it. Again, obey, be a good decision maker. Now listen, today I'm giving you a choice between life and death, between prosperity and disaster. For I command you this day to love the Lord your God and keep to his commands, decrees, and regulations by walking in his ways. If you do this, you will live and multiply, and the Lord your God will bless you and the land you're about to enter and occupy. But if your heart turns away and you refuse to listen, and you're not obeying, you're not being a good decision maker, and if you are drawn away to serve and worship other gods, then I warn you now that you will certainly be destroyed. You will not live a long, good life in the land you are crossing the Jordan to occupy. And he finishes with, today I have given you the choice between life and death, between blessings and curses. Now I call on heaven and earth to witness the choice, the decision you make. Oh, that you would choose life so that you and your descendants might live. You can make this choice by loving the Lord your God, obeying him, and committing yourself firmly to him. This is the key to your life. And if you love and obey the Lord, you will live long in the land the Lord swore to give your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It says this is the key to your life. This decision making, these choices you make is the key to your life. And so often we don't really focus on that. We don't focus on what is the nuts and bolts of decision making. How do we make good decisions? You know, some strategy, some people flip a coin. You know, there's, in the Old Testament, there's that, you know, the Urim and the Thummim that, you know, that they used to cast, you know, when they made decisions, they cast lots. You know, what are those, you know, what is the strategy that we use to make decisions? You know, in John, Jesus says, the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. So again, that